What happens when a powerful mafia boss makes the biggest mistake of his life and abandons the one person who truly loved him? Years later, when his empire crumbles and his enemies surround him, fate brings him face to face with a past he tried to forget, a woman he once left behind, and a truth that could destroy him. Will he find redemption, or will his past finally take its revenge? Watch till the end. This story will shock you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And now let's get started. Adrian Cole stood by the tall glass window of his Chicago penthouse, watching the city lights flicker against the icy night. Inside, everything was warm, controlled and silent just the way he liked it. Power had taught him one rule: never trust anyone, so when whispers reached him about Elena, his quiet, loyal maid, something inside him turned cold. Doubt grew quickly into certainty, without proof, without reason. Elena stood in front of him now, her hands trembling, one instinctively resting over her pregnant belly. Her eyes were filled with fear and confusion. "I didn't do anything," she said softly, her voice shaking but honest. She couldn't even fully understand what she was being accused of. To her, Adrian was not just her employer. He was someone she trusted, someone she believed would protect her. But Adrian wasn't listening. His expression remained hard, unreadable. Years of betrayal had carved away any space for compassion. "You expect me to believe you?" he said coldly. "In my world, loyalty is everything, and once it's broken, there's no forgiveness." Tears rolled down Elena's cheeks as she stepped forward slightly. "Please, I have nowhere to go," she whispered. "Not like this." For a brief second, something flickered in Adrian's eyes. Hesitation, maybe even doubt. But it vanished just as quickly. Pride took over control, mattered more than truth. Without another word, he signaled his guards. Moments later, Elena found herself outside the massive iron gates. The freezing wind cutting through her thin clothes, the door behind her shut with a final echoing sound. She stood there alone, abandoned, one hand wrapped protectively around her unborn child. Inside, Adrian poured himself a drink, forcing the moment out of his mind, but far away from his control. Fate had already begun to move. Years passed, and the empire Adrian Cole once ruled with absolute authority had begun to collapse piece by piece. In a dim, abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Chicago, the air was heavy with dust and tension. Adrian sat tied to a chair, his once perfect suit torn, his face bruised from the fall of a man who had finally run out of power. The silence around him was no longer his to control. Footsteps echoed slowly across the concrete floor. He lifted his head, expecting another enemy, but what he saw made his breath catch. A woman stepped into the light, confident, composed and powerful. Her presence alone commanded the room. Behind her stood armed guards, who answered only to her. It was Elena, but she was no longer the broken woman he had abandoned. Strength had replaced fear in her eyes, and dignity had taken the place of pain. Beside her stood a young boy, no older than 6, watching everything with quiet awareness. Adrian's heart pounded, his voice cracked. For the first time in years, Elena... She didn't respond immediately. Instead, she studied him. The man who once had everything, now reduced to nothing. The silence stretched heavy with memories neither of them could escape. "You left me to die," she finally said, her voice calm but sharp. "You didn't even ask the truth." Adrian swallowed hard, guilt flooding through him. The reality hit deeper than any wound. His eyes shifted to the child, and he understood. Slowly, painfully, Adrian dropped his head and fell to his knees, as much as the ropes allowed. "I was wrong," he said, his voice breaking. "Please give me one chance." Elena's expression didn't change, because some apologies come far too late, and some scars never fade.